I mean, the example I always use, and this, some of my colleagues have been broken by this, is the Syrian war has been very well covered. Every crime has been very well documented, often with video footage of exactly the crime being carried out. Has it made any difference whatsoever? I'm not sure.
The Syrian one is one where you hear rational people say that, like, Assad is not our enemy, and that. Who do you feel about that?
I mean, I think we're dealing with the legacy of the Iraq and the Afghanistan wars, in that even if you want to help, what's the point? You can't. You're only going to make it worse. I think a lot of people feel that way, and I think that leads some people to think Assad is not a good guy. He probably does have the blood of hundreds of thousands on his hands, but we should deal with him anyway because that's better than Iraq or Afghanistan.
Is it because when we do get rid of a leader like Libya with Gaddafi or Iraq with Hussein, that what happens is you get this power vacuum and then it becomes far worse?
We've tried every model. We've tried invading Afghanistan, taking over, trying to rebuild the entire culture and armed forces and government ourselves. That has failed miserably. Tried Iraq. Libya tried leading from the back, limited intervention, hoping that the guys on the ground could do the fighting for us. And then Syria, we've tried almost no intervention whatsoever. And all three have failed. So I think now you've got people. I mean, the thing I always think, most people would say we should have intervened in Rwanda. I think almost everyone would say, I mean, Bill Clinton would say that's his biggest regret, I think, in his presidency. Most people would say we should have intervened in Rwanda. I think if Rwanda happened tomorrow, you'd have a lot of people here saying it's not worth it. We won't help. We can't make the situation better. So why even try?
Well, it's so hard when you look at the rest of the world and you see these horrific conditions and you see warlords in power and you see atrocities being committed, and we're sitting over here and in the valley watching it on internet and drinking Starbucks,
Or it's just Trump gossip. All day. I mean,
more so.
Yeah, American foreign coverage was never great.
No.
Now it's almost gone. I mean, Yemen, we'll see. I mean, because of the Khashoggi murder, maybe something's going to happen with Yemen. And there is a lot we can do there because we are, directly supporting one side.
It almost seems like what you were talking about, but in a far lesser extent, the feeling that you get when you're in these war zones, that it's almost like it's not real, that you're covering it through this lens so you're immune from it. It almost feels like we view the massive conflicts of the world that way. That, like, we're watching it on television, we're seeing it on our phones or our laptops. It's real. I know it's real. It's a real issue, but it's not real, like, in terms of it's not knocking on my door.
Yeah.
No, it's almost like we feel about it that way.
Yeah. And the numbers as well. I mean, in Syria, it could be 800,000 dead now. Do people really think what that means? What does 800,000 dead actually mean?
Right. When I think with certain numbers, they just become it just becomes digits, and it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Doesn't like if you hear 5 guys get killed in a shootout, you go, "Wow, those 5 guys are dead."
Yeah.
And you start thinking about it. You hear 500,000 people died on the other side of the planet. It almost doesn't register.
Yeah.
But for you, it registers.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, the reason I started doing this, when I was a kid, as soon as I started reading about these situations, when I remember reading that my government, the British government, was arming, often the wrong side in these conflicts. I remember thinking, how is this not front page news?
Right.
How is everyone not talking about this every single day? And I still feel like that now, even though I'm clearly out of step with most of the population. But
well, you're so immersed. Is it hard for you when you come back and you see the Trump gossip and all the nonsense and all the things that we engage in on a daily basis here in America that are really trivial at best? I mean, is it hard for you to, I mean, you get to see the worst shit happening in the world all the time. Is it hard for you to relate?
Yeah, I mean, one of the main symptoms I had of the PTSD from covering this for so long was it was numbness to physical danger when I was there, but it was numbness when I got back home. So you'd come back and, at one point you used to think, if I come back with the footage I have of whatever conflict, it's going to have some kind of impact. It's going to create some kind of ripple. And you come back and you think there's going to be nothing. The film's going to go out. There's a few people are going to tweet. A few people are going to, send me a message. That's